Today I've been thinking about something a little bit deep, perhaps quite philosophical. I've been sat here on this bench for quite some time, both making videos and thinking for myself. It's a lovely hot day today. It's about 27 degrees. Peak summer, peak sunshine. I'm listening to the sounds of all the birds, perhaps you can hear them. I'm relaxing on this bench, and the funny thing is, it feels like just yesterday that I was doing the same thing. Now, of course, it may have been. Actually, I was in this spot yesterday. I do like riding my bike out here. But what I'm referring to is last summer. Summer 2024. Summer 2024 feels like a couple of weeks ago. However, we're nearing on a year ago right now. I'm sat in the same spot. I'm sat with my same bike. And it makes me think, or at least brings to my mind, what has changed? What has the last year brought for me? Now, this is a combination of two things. Number one, it's a great opportunity to reflect, but number two, it can be quite scary. And number three, it points out the urgency of what you do. Now, for this, I'm going to go a bit more into my story. The last, let's say, 6-12 months for me have been quite interesting. I've done a lot of new things, I've been to a lot of new places, and I've had a lot of, I think, pretty good experiences. Maybe I am just a bit of an analytical person, but I always try to set myself goals for the next year. And sometimes it can be quite hard to adhere to them. But I think about what I've actually done this year and what I've done this last 12 months. You know, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but from trying out a new job, building my business, solo traveling abroad for the first time, meeting new people, and then we're back here again. Now, I don't know if this sounds a bit cheesy or maybe a bit deep. I don't know which end of the spectrum it's going to be on. But there is a lesson here for me. Because summer 2024 only feels like a couple of weeks ago. But think about, number one, all that's happened since. And number two, all the time that has genuinely and truly passed. Now for me, maybe it's just a me thing, maybe not. I always think I can do more. I always know I can do more. So if I've got a number that I want to hit financially, I think I can do more than that. If I've got a goal, I think I can achieve it quicker or whatever it is. But really, this has taught me a lot. The first thing that I guess I've learned, and the first thing that anybody else can take as a lesson from this, is that you always come out on the other end. If you're lucky, you always come out on the other end. However, the way that you behave can absolutely influence the way that you come out. I suppose this time last year I had two choices. One of the choices would have left me in a pretty bad position. The other one was taking me down a different path, forcing me to do interesting and new stuff. And I don't know if that's going to be true for you guys too. I hope it is. Now, the biggest lesson that I've learned here is time flies. Now, this is nothing new, but nobody really takes the time to actually deep this as a point. When I say time flies, you don't realise how quickly a year goes by, right? And that just goes to show that if you commit yourself to something, even if it's challenging for just a year, it seems like less time when it's done. Despite that, the results from it can be amazing. I can remember, New Year of 2021, let's say, 2020, like it was not that long ago. Feels like a while ago, but not that long ago. But what it is people don't make this active relation or correlation between results, time, and what they're doing right now. Because every day does amount to your future. Now, we all know this in reality, but we don't actually take a minute to think about what it means. I don't know if this is interesting or not, but I guess what I've learned is that you can completely change your life in a year. You absolutely can. You can completely change your life in a year. It's not necessarily easy, but it can be done. Now, personally, I look back to times, let's say, like 2020, when I can't even remember an exact example, right? So don't quote me on this. Someone's going to be in the comment section and say, well, that's not actually true. But let's say, for example, in 2020, I had the opportunity to buy Tesla stock for $100. And I know someone's going to be like, well, actually, it cost this much. You get the example, right? And I thought, no, it's going to take 5 years to mature. And by the time that happens, look, we're 5 years down the line now. and we always wish that we made better decisions. And of course, hindsight always comes to kick you. We can't know what we don't know. But let's talk about 2026. And this is what I've not really done before, right? This is a new thing for me. I could be sat on the same bench again in 2026, and by the way guys, for me it's not the location that's the issue. I know a lot of people feel stagnant in the location. It depends what you do, right? It depends what you do. So I don't have a specific issue with being sat on the same bench. I travel to a lot of different places and I'm lucky for that, but what I'm saying is I can be sat on the same bench and reflect on what's happened again. Will I have more good to look at? Or will I have more bad? I guess it really is all a choice. I guess it really is all starting with a choice to actively make changes. But that is what it is. It's an active choice. And it's not necessarily an easy one to make. I've kind of been learning this in the last, let's say, 6 months. A lot more. But anything you want, let's just say today, right? You got 365 days to see what you can do. Maybe you'll not get there in that time. But you'll probably get a hell of a lot closer than what you would doing nothing. I don't know what I'm speaking about here, guys. I'm just explaining my thoughts. It's just funny how time flies and you look back and it's like, wow. You know, that was a time period. And now it's done. And soon enough it'll be next summer. I don't say that to wish life away because enjoy the time whilst it lasts, but there is a real lesson to be learnt here. I think you guys can probably get what I'm saying in the comments. Obviously, thank you for your time, and I hope I'll see you again.